Hello guys! Welcome back to my YT channel. Oh,
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
hello guys! Welcome back to my YT world. This is Science, Health, Safety and Music channel, Sotero. Okay, so at this moment in time, I will be able to discuss about advanced phrases. But it looks like not really that advanced to those who are really experienced in reading a lot, being a wide reader, and who loves English too much, things like that, and also who loves to speak fluently in public or in private places or whatever, or they love English language as much as they could. Okay? Because normally if you love English language as a subject, then you have really the exuberance and the enthusiasm to talk spontaneously, right? And to read a lot in different books, references, English language references, or any encyclopedias, magazines, or whatever, or you heard, or TV reporter, or news, or whatever, okay? But this is gonna be like just advanced phrases because we don't normally use this in a conversation or in a communication, right? Okay, so I'm going to introduce at least 12 advanced phrases. So the first thing to do, our objective here is to help us fluent in speaking. We must be fluent in speaking, okay? Because phrasal or words or advanced phrases are really group of words or a combination of words that helps us to have a connected speech, and then we can have the thought and the full sense of our paragraph or sentences or whatever, okay? Or whatever we intend to in our purpose of conversation or communication, whether it could be in a daily conversation, in work, in school, or in public places, or in any engagements, or let's say symposiums, trainings, conferences, or whatever, okay? Things like that, okay? But most of the times, guys, this will come out in our mouth in an instant manner, meaning not really that planned, okay? When you talk, as you go over, you are now in the momentum of your speech, then all of a sudden it will appear there in your uh, uttering words. Uttering words meaning saying of words. Okay, so it's not really necessary to be eloquent or eloquent as long as you can have a connected speech or whatever mode it is. It could be a slow, fast, or average speakers. But in terms of pace, P-A-C-E, how fast and how slow you are as a speaker. Things like that. That's pace, P-A-C-E. Right? Things like that. Okay, 12 phrases. The first phrase, oh my gosh. Okay, so, okay, the first phrase will be, let's face it. Okay, one, this advanced phrases. Okay. Advanced here doesn't mean that it's unfamiliar words or profound vocabulary. Advanced only in terms of grouping the words in which you cannot easily remember most of the times. To the point, you can only remember this quite often when you talk in a on the spot manner or in a prompt manner. Meaning to say inadvertently, meaning unintentionally, things like that. You get the point? Because the more you practice a lot, the more you will be perplexed of what are the words you will be able to speak, things like that. So especially when you memorize, when you plainly memorize words, then you will be able to render a talk or speech. Then sometimes also it will be rumbled, okay? And then it's so obvious that you need a pause like this, blah blah blah, like that, and you know it's very obvious and evident. You always keep on walk there and walk backward like that, and you are really concerned with the audience. You lost your connection with the audience in terms of the eye contact, things like that. But if you're talking really in a natural manner, then it will not be like that. You get the point? So especially if you will be able to apply this advanced vocabulary, but this is a vocabulary, but it's phrases. Okay, sorry, phrases. Okay, get the point. One phrase composed of two or three or more words. Okay, that's phrase. Paragraph composed of two or more sentences. Passage, okay, or column, or let us say write up, or article, or context, or content, composed of two or more paragraphs. You get the point? Again, phrase composed of two or more words. Okay, you get the point? Then sentence composed of two or three or more words, but with a sense or with an information, a subject and predicate. Because phrase is not necessarily you have a sense there unless you will connect that in a sentence. That's the difference between a phrase and a sentence. You may say a phrase without the meaning, but you cannot say a sentence without meaning. It always have meaning. You get the point? Because if it doesn't have the meaning, if it doesn't have the information and subject or predicate, so that's phrase. Okay, or a clause, C-L-A-U-S-E. That's the point. Okay. Paragraph composed of two or more sentences. Okay. A passage, article, a write-up, a context, a content, a letter, an essay composed of two or more paragraphs. Okay, so that's the difference between a phrase, a passage, a context, a content, an article. Okay, a story is also composed of two or more paragraphs. You get the point? But a story looks like very informal in nature. You get the point? If you're talking about the story. If it is not formal in nature, then you have to specify what type of story is that. Okay, you have to mention if it is really referring to the life of George Washington, John F. Kennedy, things like presidents of the United States of America, or it could be the scientists in the past like, Anton Lavashaw, Humphrey Davy, like that, Henry Cavendish. So it looks like formal. So things like that. So it's going to be the biography, the story of the life of the influential people or scientists or celebrities or whatnot. The point things like that, so phrases, so meaning a lot, right? Phrases, because I will be able to enumerate 12 phrases. Get the point? Things like that, okay. So this is gonna be like, first will be, let's face it. Let's face it, okay, like that. Okay. Second, I have to put three dots because you need to continue that in a sentence or somewhere along the way in the middle, or it's gonna be like in the beginning, or let's say in the last. When you compose, or when you structure, or when you build a sentence, or when you build your own speech, okay, or sentence, or whatever, or communication, right? As simple as that. Okay, like that, meaning etc. or so on and so forth, like that, etc. or let us say it all, meaning and many more, or and others, things like that. Okay. Okay. Number two, we have fall into place. Okay. Fall into place. Dot, dot, dot. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Number three, for the best. Okay, for the best. Okay. You don't have to memorize this because there's a lot. It will cost you headache. And it will bombard your neurons in your brain cells if you try to memorize words by words like that. So just understand what's that all about and create your own words. Things like that. Okay? So the best you can really remember as how it is being structured here. But you know, you can make your own words also in the first place. You get the point. Number four, we have, okay, let's say, few and far between. Okay, few and far between. Okay, like that. Okay. And then another also, conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, meaning you will never enunciate the letter T. Interest, like that, just like history, like that. You get the point. So conflict of interest. Okay, interest. Okay, things like that. It looks like interest, right? Interest, because you need to drop the letter T. Okay, but if you want really to initiate, it doesn't matter as long as you're comfortable in the first place. Get the point? Okay, conflict of interest. Okay, number six will be the button. You can say button or button. So it will become D in your pronunciation, but wait, why it will become D? There's double T here. Okay, think like that. Okay, number seven, all of a sudden, na 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 na. This is a song, right? All of a sudden. Okay. Number eight, we have come to light. Okay, come to light. Right? Okay, come to light. Number nine, we have cracked down. Cracked down. Okay. Past simple form, huh? Or past participle in a regular verb. Okay, like that. Cracked down, like that. Ten. Number 10, we have behind, closed door. That's not behind, that behind. Okay, behind closed door. But sometimes you will drop the letter D, behind closed doors. Okay, but if you want to sound the letter D, it's also okay, behind. It's not behind, okay? Closed doors, okay, like that. Or you can say closed door, behind closed door. You need to drop the R also in the last, okay? When you pronounce it, just like water. You need to drop the R, okay, in the last, okay, letter. Okay, behind closed doors. Okay, but if you're not comfortable, don't follow me. This is just only the right pronunciation. Okay, get the point. But be careful if it is British English or American English. We can use either the two or either the two. So see, either or either, neither or neither. So it depends, or horizon, advertisement or advertisement. So I'm not saying it's wrong. Okay, it depends on what you are using, your basis of your pronunciation. You get the point. Things like that. Number 11, we have the behind closed doors, and then we have also by all means. Okay, like that, by all means. Okay. Number 12, blink of an eye. Okay, so as I told you, I need to introduce only 12 phrases. And now we have completed, right? Okay, blink of an eye. Okay, like that. Dun. And now let's use this in a sentence. Okay, then before that, we need to apply the stresses, or how to emphasize and how to stress the intonation. Okay, like that. Okay, let's face it, like that. Okay, so using a sentence, let's face it that all of us will die. Okay, let's face it that all of us will die. Okay, things like that. We are very hardworking, but let's face it that sometimes we cannot achieve our dreams. Okay, so I put the let's face it in the last, and also I put the let's face it in the beginning of a sentence. But if you put la in the middle of your sentence, then it will become now a complex sentence. Okay, It's very difficult to use. Let's face it, in the middle of the sentence, it will become the complex sentence or a compound sentence or a conditional sentence. Things like that. So how can I use that? Very difficult. It's on the spot. For example, I will say, I will study English, but let's face it, sometimes I cannot pass in English language exam because my priority is really to study math. See, very quick. So meaning to say, I put the let's face it in the middle of the sentence. So there's because there's a connector. There's two sense of the sentence, meaning just studying in math and also studying in English, right? So the thought here is he or she will not pass in English because he or she focused more on math. So, but the point here really is to emphasize, let's face it, is in the middle of a sentence. Okay, so I put in the middle, I put the first, and I put in the last. So notice how I structure the phrase. Let's face it. Okay, but actually this is easy, right? Get the point. So number two, fall into place like that. You get the point. So example, I am very hardworking, but until now I don't have a high salary. Maybe after 2 or 3 years it will fall into place that I could attain a higher salary. Meaning it will be later on it will be coming to you. You just don't know. Maybe God will just provide you the better, but not now. Things like that, or it could be also due to serendipity, or by chance, or due to coincidence, or just merely by effort, but not just now coming. Sorry. Oh my gosh. My actions are really following the other way around, okay? You get the point, it looks like a little bit of mixture, a combination of British and English. Oh, I was really puzzled with this kind of discussion, really. So, at first I am also very skeptical if I will be able to do this vlog because it looks like, oh, really? It's the first time in my entire life to vlog this particular topic. Advanced phrases, right? Okay. Fall into place. Since it looks like cumbersome, if I will be able also to put that in the beginning, to put it in the last, I think it would be enough to make it simpler that I could only use that in a sentence, whether it is in the beginning, is in the middle, or in the last, right? Because it's very difficult, really. You have to think on the spot, then sometimes you lose your ideas from your brain cells. Okay. Number three, we have for the best. Okay, like that. So this is just like hoping for something. For example, you have a close friend, then like that, and after, due to the very crucial circumstance that both of you will be part ways, and the other one will be going to Norway, and the other one will be going also to the Jeddah, whatever, things like that, and you will talk with each other. I think we need to part ways, and then let's hope for the best that we will be encountering soon. Okay, things like that, because due to our work we don't have the same career path, things like that. So that is for the best. Okay, another example of this also, for instance, then you have a girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that. I think this will no longer work. I think we must give up, and then we will look for another for the best someday in the future, so that we will be happy and we can find an ideal lover in the future. Things like that. Okay, it's gonna also for the best. It's like just hoping for something. Okay, it's a positivism. The impact really is positivity. Things like that. Optimistic. Okay, just for the best. Things like that is the point. And number four, we have few and far between. Okay, it looks like this is not word for word in understanding. So you're, I think, not really that thing, I'm sure, or I'm certain. Okay, we have two adjectives here, the few and the far. Few, it talks about the amount, or shows a quantity, or a number of units or pieces. And when we say also far, it talks about the distance, things like that. Okay, if you are let's say 8 kilometers away. Junjun is 85 kilometers away from Riyadh City because he is living in a remote area, and it is somewhere between or in between or within the Mozambique. Things like that. You get the point? So two adjectives here, few and far. So you combine the few and far in one phrase, it looks like cumbersome. Okay, get the point? Or complex, or difficult, or tough, or challenging. Things like that. Okay, so how can we understand this? Okay, few and far. Meaning to say this is very tough and challenging, but it is possible. You get a point. So, for example, I need to find an ideal woman, few and far between, that can also cook very well and sing very well, so that I can perform with her in a duet singing performance like that. Okay, so few and far between meaning, it's very difficult to find, it's very difficult to search, things like that. It took a lot of efforts to achieve or to attain this few and far between. You get the point? Things like that. Okay. I think someday, few and far between, I could be able to become a doctor in chemical engineering. Things like that. You get the point? So, meaning to say, I will be able to have a rigorous and a meticulous or explicit study regarding tremendous and profound study of chemical engineering topics, things like that, or a variety of studies with regards to chemical engineering. Now, so the first thing to do is to really study first as a preparatory after the chemical engineering profession. You have to take also the masteral. After that, you'll be able to take the doctoral or the doctorate or the PhD units. So that you can become a doctor in chemical engineering, or doctor for something. If you're not really an engineering job or whatever. Okay, get the point, things like that. Okay, number 5, conflict of interest. Okay, so this is very common nowadays, right? But it's not common to be stated or to be uttered in a particular conversation. Normally, you will never say this to your friend, to your close friend, to your sister, to your brother, or whatever, or to your manager, or to your supervisor. You will just merely keep this to yourself. But in writing, you can really express this because this is really written, right? You can express that through words. But when you speak, sometimes it cannot be uttered because it has a negative notion. Okay, like though it's not really that totally negative, but conflict means just like an argumentation, things like that, or a contestation. Wow, I love it. Contestation meaning there's ability to contest one over the other. Okay, and then argumentation or like a sort of debate or like polarity of ideas. Okay, not really meeting to one consensus or agreement. Okay, you'll never get into point with each other based on your what you are trying to emphasize, what you are trying to point out in your particular conversation lesson. So for example, I will say, here's my friend, but due to conflict of interest, I cannot go with him most of the times because he loves dancing, but I don't love dancing. I love playing cricket, by the way. Things like that. To the point. Things like that. Okay. Me and my sister are not close with each other because I don't know how to cook, but she loves to cook. I would rather sing the whole day to enjoy and to be in ecstatic moment, as happy as I am when I'm singing. Right? But the point is like that. That's conflict of interest. Okay, meaning to say you are not the same inclinations, hobbies, attitudes, personalities, but sometimes you can also meet with one consensus or agreement. But normally or usually you are not really compatible with each other. So there's a conflict of interest. So this may be the reason for your relationship will not foster well. What do you mean by foster? Meaning it will be enhanced, okay, it will be become healthy, or it will be endure for a longer period of time. It can sustain for a longer period of time, things like that. Okay, you get the point. Things like because you have conflict of interest with each other. You get other, right? I love it. Okay, number 6, we have button, button. So take note. Okay, we have consonant, letter B as in boy, and we have the vowel, letter U, and we have also the consonant, letter T. This is CVC, rule. Okay, if CVZ rule, then you have to repeat the last letter of a sentence. Things like, for example, a rock. Okay, you get the point. So, you get the point? Things like that, or snapped. So, there will be letter P, letter double P, double T, blah, 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 so on. So, CVZ rule. Consonant, vowel, consonant. Sometimes we may forget the spelling when we do or when we have the past simple form. For example, stop, S-T-O-P. Sometimes we will be confused if it's double P, right? In some cases, not all the time. Okay, you will remember the CVC, consonant, vowel and consonant. So you will double the last letter. So that's why S-T-O-P-P-E-D, stop. Like that, you get the point. So this can only be applicable in a regular verb, regular action verb, like that, in a past simple form. But for irregular verbs or stative verbs, you know what stative verbs? Stative verbs are those action verbs that denotes abstract. Okay, meaning you can only feel but you can never do in actions, like loving, like that. Okay, yeah, peace, harmony, like that, abstract values, things like that. You get the point. Okay, you can have that. Okay, action verb. Okay, things like that. Okay, so irregular verb, katong mga shortened, like that. You get the point? Or eaten, like that. You get the point? Or beaten, like that. So that is irregular verb, past participle. Okay, that's why it's safe to say past participle rather than past simple form. Okay, past simple form and past participle. Because past participle is applicable for both the regular verbs and irregular verbs. The regular verbs, you have to add ed in the past tense. Okay, like that. So remember, past simple form and past participle. It's not past tense because when you say a tense, it's more than 2 or more 3 words. 2 or more words in a sentence. That's tense. Okay, so that's wrong grammar when you say, what is the past tense of eat? In the first place, you are only asking for a one word. That is not a tense in the first place. It is a word. Okay, that's action verb. Okay, so you will say, what is the past simple form of eat? What is the past participle of eat, but not past tense? Because tense are composed of 2 or more words in a sentence. Okay, you need to create a sentence with subject and predicate, meaning with information. When you say a tense, there's an information. You get the point? There's a sense. There's a thought. For example, I will say, I was crying last night. Okay, so that's past tense. Okay, you will never use cried because that's redundancy. You will never say, I was cried last night. That's wrong grammar. When you put the linking verbs, you need to pay that with an ing form. Okay, was singing, was dancing, was praying. For example, you are praying yesterday. Example only for the purpose of discussion. You will say, Junjun was praying yesterday. It's not Junjun was prayed yesterday. It's wrong grammar. Better use the simple tense, past simple tense, which is Junjun prayed yesterday. But don't put was. You get the point? Things like that. If you try to use this past simple tense, you don't need to put the was, the where, the linking verbs. Okay, but if you want to use the past, okay, continuous tense, put ing and the linking verbs. Okay, that's the point. So these are very important. Was crying, okay, was dancing, was singing, was cooking. You never say was cooked. You will say You get the point? Junjun was cooked. So I will be the one to cook. I will be the one was cooked. I'm not a food. For example, I'm cooking yesterday. I will say, I cooked pasta yesterday. I will say, I was cooked pasta yesterday. It looks like that I am the one who was cooked, not the pasta. You get the point? So you need to avoid the redundancies of the declaration of your past simple form in the linkage or in the what do you call this one in the collaboration or partnership of this linking verbs. Okay, got the point. It's like that. Okay, so it's too much for that. Now we go to the badin. So badin meaning to say, for example, Junjun and Lisa are talking about the principles of stress-related illness. But somewhere along the way, Leia Baren to insist about talking climate change. Things like that. Meaning to say, you are trying to interrupt in a particular conversation. Then the two are speaking and then they will be able to stop. Then you are talking with them. So you are do the button, meaning you are interfering or you are inserting somewhere along the way in the conversation. So don't butt in, please. We will be disturbed. Okay, we are now in the momentum of a proper discussion. Then how can the students understand during the discussion in the classroom instruction if you keep on buttons for the particular discussion at the time when I will discuss to my pupils or students, please stop doing that. Oh, sorry, button. Okay. So you will not say but in because it's double T and then the next will be vowel. See? Vowel. So you will say button, button. So it sounded like a letter D. Button, button. So don't button, please. I will be disturbed in the study of physics. Tomorrow is my examination. I want to get perfect score. Things like that. Okay, so button. Number 7, all of a sudden. For example, I'm cooking and then somewhere along the way, okay, the smell is so bad like that and I will be able to stop cooking. So I'll say, Junjun cooking spaghetti and all of a sudden he stopped from cooking because of a bad smell. So you need to say, this is not planned accordingly. We need to say, this is really in an inadvertent manner. Inadvertent, meaning unintentional. Okay, meaning unexpected. Okay, meaning in a surprise and you don't know. Okay, it just really happened without your expectation. That's inadvertent. Okay, things like that. For example, Junjun is singing "My Love Will See You Through," but all of a sudden the sound system was stopped. Like that's it. Meaning to say, this all of a sudden is talking more on the impact, consequence, result, in which it was happening, not planned. Okay, so things like that. Okay, it's very easy to understand. Meaning silent is after result, like that, whatever, or consequence or impact, like that. It's more on the finished line. How can I say this? Meaning that the impact. Okay, you get the point or the result. Things like that. Come to light. How can you use the word come to light? Okay, you get the point. Okay, there's a lot of verdicts in the particular legal proceedings, but the true verdict come to light when there are solid evidences and proofs against to the real verdict. Things like that. Okay, come to light. Okay, this is gonna be meaning the final decision like that. You get the point? The final decision and the final judgment, things like that. Okay, or the final result, for example, there's a lot of engineers talking about the proposals on how to dwindle the effect of greenhouse gases. Okay, but the answers come to light when there is a brilliant engineer comes from Germany to explain them thoroughly the relevance of the control measure he emphasized to the group of engineers. Things like that. You get the point? So come to light. Okay, so they will be awakened that the decision and the judgment will be the more better, or not more better, wrong grammar, the better. Okay, because that's comparative. You don't have to put more in the better. Sorry, my brain cells are very strong to interrupt. Okay, you get the point. It's comparative adjective. Sorry, there's no more better, huh? If you use more, then you will say good. Okay, but it's better to use better. There's no more better. Sorry. You get the point? Things like that. So let's come to light. Okay, number 9, crackdown. Okay, okay. Due to the crackdown of COVID-19, people are free to walk everywhere and wandering everywhere, places to places, without wearing the face masks. Like that, okay. So meaning of crackdown, meaning it has been stopped. Okay, it has been destroyed. It has been seized. It has been not occurring anymore. Things like that. Totally closed. Totally cancelled. Totally not operating, or it was not operated already. Things, or closure, undergo or underwent or whatever. Undergo closure. It depends on you how to construct the grammar accuracy. But what I mean is just the same. You get the point. Things like that. Okay, we have number 10. Another example. Due to the crackdown of nitrosamine preservatives in different canned goods, now the people are healthy even though how many times they eat canned goods in a daily basis. Okay, meaning to say, the crackdown of putting these nitrosamine suspected substances like preservatives that can cause cancer. So they don't put any more like that. So the people are free to eat all the time. So these products are now not cancerous to the people because they eliminated this suspected carcinogen element or compound, not element, it's compound, which is nitrosamine. Okay, that's the point. So that's a composition or really a substance, fortified into your preservative. You get the point, aside from the nitrites. Okay, you get the point. Things like that. So, behind closed doors. So, behind closed doors, this is just basically a legal appointments or meetings or whatever. For example, it is very highly confidential. For example, oh my gosh, there will be an announcement of honor students this afternoon, but I was sad. I cannot see because that will be done only behind closed doors. Things like that. Meaning they will have a very serious meeting during the deliberation of honor students without students who will witness the particular event or activity, things like that. You get the point? So that's behind closed doors. Not only that, also a decision of the complainant versus the plaintiff, like in a court, right? What do you call this one? The prosecution, things like that. Okay, before the suspect will be persecuted, there will be prosecution. Because prosecution and persecution are not the same. You get the point in legal proceedings in a court. You get the point. So you need to identify what's the difference between the two, right? Because when we say persecution, this has something to do with sanctions already. Okay? But prosecution is somewhere along the way of hearings. A lot of hearings will be done in let us say, in a municipal trial court, in regional trial court, things like that. Okay, or in the Supreme Court will be the last for that. So persecution, right? And persecution are not the same. Okay, get the point. Things like that. So behind closed doors. Okay, and especially also at a private company, there will be an increment of very confidential promotion like that. They will not also do this in public. They will just do the behind closed doors like that. You get the point. Things like that. Okay. Number 11. Okay, by all means. Okay, by all means meaning superlative. I need to become a top notcher in the board examination. For example, in mechanical engineering board examination in 2024, by all means, I need to study everything about general engineering, physical and chemical principles, thermodynamics, calculus, and mechanical engineering major subjects. Things like that, okay? That's by all means. Meaning, whatever happens, you need to do that. You need to enforce immensely and intensely. You get the point? Things like that with physical force, being passionate of studying tremendously enormous topics related to mechanical. Okay. Number 12, blink of an eye. What do you mean by blink of an eye? Sometimes you have to put a preposition prior to the first letter of this particular phrase. You get a point. It's a blink of an eye. You get a point. Oh, by the blink of an eye, I will become a millionaire by serendipity. Yes, it can be things like that. But wait, it's gonna be like a lark if that will be happening. What do you mean by lark? Meaning to say unrealistic, and it could be a hidden secrecy that sometimes it will not be happening. It's very far from reality. That's lurk, L-U-R-K, lurk. You get the point? Things like that. And serendipity, meaning by chance, by coincidence, things like that. Because it's very difficult or it's insurmountable for you to become a billionaire. Okay, but you are not really that rich in your family history background because your history background have no businesses, things like that, and then you are just only depending on the active salary. The active salary will not lead you to become a billionaire in the first place. Who become a billionaire by just working with a company? Nothing, right? It should be businessmen. Okay, so it looks like very impassable. Okay, get the point, things like that. So you need to, with the blink of an eye, so blink of an eye, you will use this in a not certain situation. Okay, and for example, be safe at all times because in a blink of an eye, you will die. Things like that. Especially if you are in a hazardous area, then you walk there and try to do get or chance to the supervisor or whatever, things like that. You need to do the conversations. What do you call this one? Hopeless, not hopeless, futile conversation, meaning nonsense. You just have to display humor like that, horse playing, whatever, things like that. In the blink of an eye, you will die. Things like that. The point, so it's a blink of an eye. So there's 12 advanced phrases, and you can practice this also in your communication, conversation, in your reporting, and also when you defend your thesis or feasibility study, things like that. Or you can even use this also in your article, context, write-up, essay, documentation, or policy making, procedure making, whatever. You get the point? Things like that. I hope you like this vlog. You can comment down below in the comment section. Then you can also double check, cross-examine, and scrutinize every word that came out in my mouth. And you can correct me because in the first place, there's no perfection in this contemporary world, right? Even though how brilliant you are, or even though how eloquent and eloquent you are, we are always subjected to flaw. F-L-A-W. Okay? There's no flawless persons in the world. Persons or people are just the same. Okay? You get the point? Things like that. Okay? Because other people also may believe that if they use the plural persons, they will become wrong. It's not. It's okay also to use persons aside from people. Okay? Things like that. Okay? Person, persons, or means that plural of person can either be persons or people. Okay, things like that. Let's make it clear because we are aware of the adding S or not adding S, things like that. Okay, thank you so much. And if you like this vlog, then you can also subscribe my YT channel, Science, Health, Safety, and Music. And my next segment of vlogging, I'm gonna be vlogging about chemistry, about hydrocarbon chemistry, related to oil and gas industry. Thank you so much. Bye bye, God bless everybody. See you later. Remember this, that Jesus loves us. Bye bye.